American detainees held in North Korea have arrived home. Find out whether their release is affecting the president's future meeting with Kim Jong-un.
Plus, a warning from geologists. More violent eruptions could be on the way in Hawaii. The science that's backing up those fears coming up.
This is KBOI 2 News this morning.
Good morning. Welcome to KBOI 2 News. It is Thursday, May 10th. I'm Brian Levin.
And I'm Denny Hawkins. We cover weather and traffic every 10 minutes on KBOI 2 News this morning. We'll get your Thursday started with Nate Larson. We had some changes roll through yesterday, and it felt a little cooler out there by the end of the day. Nate?
Yeah, it was kind of neat to see some of those isolated thunderstorms form yesterday, some of the breezy winds. Of course, you get those downbursts or those gust fronts that roll through, so you likely saw some of those windy conditions, if not a little bit of moisture out there. Today, we're expecting kind of a repeat this afternoon. You can see on radar, things are quiet this morning. It's mostly clear skies. We've got some high, thin clouds rolling in. Cooler temperatures today, though, just low 70s, if not upper 60s for highs. There is that chance again of some more isolated storms this afternoon. We'll talk about when we could maybe expect some of those, as well as a peek at the weekend forecast. Details on that coming up in just a bit. Brian?
Okay, thank you, Nate. Yeah, rained in my yard yesterday. I was so happy, and then after 2 minutes, it went away. Your commute, yeah, your drive is short. Nothing to worry about out there on our roads. Nothing slowing you down at this point in time. No accidents. Your next update on weather and traffic is always less than 10 minutes away on KBOI 2 News this morning.
Well, breaking news overnight. 3 Americans detained in North Korea are freed and back on American soil this morning. KBOI 2's Sophia Dumani is live in the studio with a closer look at their homecoming. Sophia.
These 3 men you're going to see here behind me had been held on various charges in North Korea for more than a year. After months of hard labor, they were freed yesterday during Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's visit to North Korea. They landed at Joint Base Andrews just outside of Washington, D.C. early this morning around 2:40 Eastern Time. President Trump and the First Lady were there to greet them. This was the scene on the tarmac. Kim Sang-duk was detained last April, accused of attempting to overthrow the North Korean government. Kim Hak-san was detained in May of 2017 on suspicion of hostile acts, and Kim Dong-chul was arrested in October 2015 on spying charges. In a 2016 interview, he asked the United States or South Korean government to rescue him, and years later, he describes this moment as a dream come true. All of this comes within the backdrop of what is set to be a historic summit between Trump and Kim Jong-un.
The fact that we were able to get him out so soon was really a tribute to a lot of things, including a certain process that's taking place right now.
That process the president is referring to is the ongoing negotiations between North Korea and the United States about denuclearization on the Korean peninsula, spearheaded by Pompeo. The former detainees released a statement thanking the president, Pompeo, and the American people for bringing them home. Pompeo finalized their release during his second meeting with Kim Jong-un in 6 weeks, where they also discussed plans for a summit between President Trump and the North Korean leader. These 3 seem to have come back in good health, but we know that wasn't the case when Otto Warmbier was returned nearly a year ago on the brink of death. Details of a meeting between Kim Jong-un and President Trump have not yet been released. Reporting live in the studio, Sophia Dumani, KBOI 2 News.
Now, some sources are reporting that the Trump administration is planning for the summit to be held in Singapore, but no official announcement has been made. At a White House cabinet meeting, the president warned everything is subject to change.
Everything can be scuttled. Everything can be scuttled. Doesn't mean a lot of things can happen. A lot of good things can happen. A lot of bad things can happen.
Yesterday, North Korea's state-run media mentioned the upcoming summit for the very first time.
Well, an update to breaking news that we've been following overnight. Boise police officers have called off their search for a reported shooting suspect. And now this morning, Ada County dispatchers tell us there was no suspect after all. Now, this all comes after officers closed off part of Royal Boulevard near Boise State University overnight to search for that reported suspect. A Bronco alert was sent out to Boise State students, alerting them to that search. They were told to stay away from the area. But again, dispatchers this morning say there was no suspect. We are expecting much more information sometime this morning.
And breaking into our live desk right now, Denver fire crews are working desperately to put out some flames from an inferno of an apartment structure complex. And this is a live look here at the scene. This is hours after those flames first broke out. We got word that happened around 2:30 in the morning Denver time. This is off of 20th and Federal Way there in the city. And you're looking at a 4-story apartment structure that is currently destroyed right now. This fire was so massive, someone on social media reporting that they thought it was morning when they got up and saw the glowing flames. Currently, 20 fire engines are currently working to try to put out these flames desperately. Locals are being told to avoid the area as fire crews are blocking the streets. So far, no word of injuries, again, because this apartment complex was under construction.
Authorities in Michigan continue to search for the remains of as many as 6 girls that have been missing for decades. Investigators brought in heavy machinery to dig up outside of a wooded area near Detroit yesterday after Arthur Ream, a convicted killer, boasted about murder while behind bars. Kimberly King, who was last seen in 1979, is one of the girls officials are hoping to find.
A Glennsbury High School coach has been suspended after being accused of sexual exploitation of a child. The Elmore County Sheriff's Office says Charles Ramsey was arrested after they found evidence of sexually exploitive materials in the school. He was arraigned yesterday but is currently out on bond.
Geologists monitoring the Kilauea volcano are warning that it could erupt explosively, sending boulders, rocks, and ash into the air around its summit. Yesterday, the volcano showed just a sample of what the explosion could bring. Some rockfall has already contributed to smaller explosions, but geologists say the more rocks that fall, the bigger the explosion could be.
It drained below the water table. As the lava lake lowered, you get rocks falling in from the sides, creating kind of a plug. Water is mixing, you have steam, it's being plugged, the pressure builds, and ultimately the pressure builds great enough that it blasts up through that. So this is our concern if the lava lake continues to drop and goes below water table.
Kilauea is one of the world's most active volcanoes. It has destroyed 36 structures since it began releasing lava through vents about 25 miles east of the summit's crater. There are now 15 vents spread throughout nearby neighborhoods.
New this morning, the E. coli outbreak tied to romaine lettuce continues to spread. 4 more states are now reporting illnesses linked to it. Florida, Minnesota, North Dakota, and Texas have joined the list. That's now up to 29 states. 28 more people have also reported getting sick. The CDC says a total of 149 people have gotten sick since April 20th. About half of them were hospitalized and 1 person has died. Health officials say the tainted lettuce was grown in Yuma, Arizona.
A Boise charity is now in a desperate hunt for a new home. The volunteers at Handy Hands Reflections, who have created personalized scrapbooks for over 1,000 grieving families, have to be out by June. Handy Hands Reflections survives on donations of volunteers. Until they find a place, they'll be working out of their homes, fulfilling the requests they get almost daily. But they say that's not sustainable, and they need help.
The requests aren't going to stop coming in. The need isn't going to go away, even though we have to kind of put things in boxes.
Put our work on hold for a while.
3 months ago, Handy Hands received a pay it forward for their heartfelt work, but now they need to move forward. Volunteers have put together their own expenses, fundraisers, and donor dollars to keep the shop running, and now they're asking for a little more help.
You know, every $10 puts an album in a family's hands and brings them so much comfort and peace. So $10 just goes so far in our organization. And if a lot of people would do that, we could help a lot more people and keep going.
Friends of the organization will be putting together a GoFundMe account to help. Once that account's up, you'll be able to find a link on our website, idahonews.com, under this story. Well, the community helps out in so many ways.
Man.
Hopefully, again, they
What a
can
neat program,
contribute.
too. I know my wife, she would scrapbook if it wasn't so much work. So those
It
ladies
is
are doing
tough,
a
yeah.
lot
It
of
is
work.
a lot
So
of
she just
work.
does the photo books online, but
Right.
these are much cooler because they're more personable.
They are
and
way
they're
more personal.
very unique, I guess,
Right.
because
Yeah.
they're all customizable, right?
Yeah, and Brent featured them in a pay it forward. You can go online to our website and check it out and yeah, what they do is an amazing,
Very cool.
amazing gift to families.
Yeah.
Well, turning to the weather, we all got a taste of what Mother Nature could bring again today. Yesterday, yeah, we had some thunderstorms out there. It was pretty active. I know it was pretty blustery out there. We saw, of course, the temperatures drop. You felt that pretty quickly as some of those storms started to move through. And this morning, yeah, we're feeling it as well. We were pretty mild yesterday morning. This morning, 24-hour temperature change. We're quite a bit cooler in most locations, anywhere from 5 to almost 15 degrees cooler than yesterday morning. So right now in the Boise area, 11 degrees cooler this morning than we were yesterday at this time. So we're in the low 50s for most areas, if not the mid 50s for some folks as well. So 54 in Meridian and Nampa. Good morning to you folks out there. 51 in Caldwell. Some of the mountain valleys, of course, in the 30s, which is typical for the time of year. 37 in McCall and 38 in Stanley. So good morning out there. Clouds will increase again this afternoon as we have more moisture moving into the region. So I mentioned a bit of a repeat from yesterday. We could see some more of those isolated showers, if not some thunderstorms form throughout the afternoon into the evening hours. As the sun starts to set, though, the showers will taper off and kind of die out until we have another storm system moving in for tomorrow. So your adventure cast for today, well, yeah, maybe earlier in the day would be best if you want to head out for a hike or a bike ride. We've got temperatures in the low 50s around 8 o'clock, mid to low 60s by the noon hour, and then we will see that slight chance of some storms later on this afternoon. We have more showers, even some cooler temperatures in the forecast. We'll talk about that weekend forecast in just a bit, Brian.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Nate. Just about 5:11. We'll head outside. The commute on this Thursday is shaping up so far to be a good one. No issues out there. Some of the closures still in effect. That Emerald one kind of bogging down some people. That includes the stretch, the overpass there over the connector. But, away from those closures that you probably know about at this point in time around your neighborhood, we're looking good out there. Your next update on weather and traffic is always less than 10 minutes away on KBOI 2 News this morning.
Straight ahead on KBOI 2 News this morning, social media savvy and sworn to protect and serve. How one school resource officer is logging on and connecting with students.
And a sugary tax is paying off big time for the city of Seattle. Just how much money has come in for trying to discourage those sugary drinks?
All right, and it's time for our question of the day. Yesterday's question first here. 79% of people say they consider the time they spend doing this as their me time. What is it?
Okay, the answer, I guess commuting. Yeah. Looking at it cup half full, not cup half empty. Now for today's question, 7 out of 10 people say they have to do this every time because their significant other never will. All right, let us know what you're thinking. Be careful about this one.
Some fights could get started here this morning. Take it easy.
This is KBOI 2 News this morning.
Social media is our new way of communication. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, so we need to get everybody on the same page as far as the dangers, as far as the positives, the negatives. What can we do to help bridge the gap between parents and kids?
5:14 this morning, that's Meridian Police Officer David Gomez. He's a student resource officer at Mountain View High School who uses the power of social media to keep students safe. KBOI 2's Haley Kramer caught up with Officer Gomez to learn more about how he's using Facebook to make a difference for these students.
In the halls of Mountain View High School, students go to Officer David Gomez for help, and when they leave, they can turn to his Facebook page.
I get a lot of information on my social media from parents and from kids where they don't necessarily feel like it reaches a, let's call it a police level, but they say, hey, my kid brought this to me, maybe you ought to take a look at it, and they'll send me a screenshot. And then I can take a look at it in a few seconds. Okay, I need to investigate this further or not.
And while Facebook helps Gomez keep an eye on students, it also helps him reach out to parents. With posts about how to recognize and stop bullying, the dangers of texting and driving, and one major problem in schools, students sending and receiving nude pictures.
Sometimes, you don't always take a parenting class. Sometimes you don't always understand your teenager. So here, seeing so many teenagers, I get front row to what really works and what doesn't work.
Officer Gomez does training all over the state with families about these uncomfortable topics to help get the communication going between parents and their children. And he's a big proponent of phone checks.
I have the ones that, oh, thanks, Gomez, my parents now checked my phone, I got it taken away. Positive reactions from students is, hey, we're glad that you're watching out for us, we're glad that you know the things that we're going through.
He says his presence on social media helps him in many aspects of his job. He even has a few fake accounts that he's not afraid to let them know about.
You don't want me to see your stuff? Delete me. Don't have people on there you don't know. right? And I'm happy for them to, every time I get deleted off of somebody, beautiful, right? Because I know that they're also deleting the predators who are trying to come after them.
And he wants them to know that he has their backs.
It makes a huge difference. It's one of the biggest difference you can make, because a lot of these kids that are troubled or have issues, they don't have anybody on their team. And all it takes is one person to care about them. And that's sometimes all the hope somebody needs.
Officer Gomez also posts about the positive things happening in the community, often calling out for donations for things like backpacks, shoes, and clothing. And he says through the power of social media, he gets them in a matter of minutes. He says he hopes to continue bringing positive change to his community. For KBOI 2 News, I'm Haley Kramer.
Well, it's good to know. I mean, if you're around students, where are they always on?
Right.
Social media.
Right. You kind of jump on board with what where they're at. They used to always, I mean, my goodness, it's an easy way to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Everyone.
It's nice to see law enforcement taking that extra effort or extra step to try to connect with them in a different way than just being there, I guess, at the schools or wherever.
Yeah, because I remember, as in high school, he was always such a nice guy, but I think you're always a little bit intimidated of him. You're like, oh, you're here to still make sure I don't break the rules.
Right.
So maybe the social media presence kind of makes you feel like that barrier drops a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, he only has a few more days really with the students before they're out for summer.
Oh,
week,
yeah.
I guess,
People are thinking about, I think, summer vacation, right?
So
we're getting
It's
close.
hard not to with how nice it's been.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already May 10th or so. We're cruising through May, and the forecast has been so great for the last several days. We did have a few changes yesterday that headed our way, and we're expecting a few more bumps in the road before we have some more nice weather heading in next week. So is it time to wash the car after some of the sprinkles yesterday or the thunderstorms we did see? Well, yellow lights for today as we have yet another slight chance of seeing some storms out there, and then red lights for Friday and Saturday. So I want to hold off until probably next week before you wash the car as we have some active weather heading our direction. This morning things are quiet though as you head out the door. We've got dry roads out there and skies are mostly clear. We've got some high thin clouds that are starting to move in ahead of our next batch of moisture. So this morning for your dog walking forecast from about 8 o'clock till the noon hour, partly cloudy skies, temperatures from the range of 51 degrees this morning to about 63 by the noon hour with some breezy winds as well. Highs today, we're expecting just low 70s for the Treasure Valley with 60 for Baker City, 55 for McCall, and that temperature trend over the next several days even cooler tomorrow, 64 for the high. So we're going to be, again, normal high. Finally, our average high is where we're going to be today, slightly below that still on Saturday, getting back there on Sunday. And then early next week, we're going to see things start to climb again to above average temperatures. So satellite and radar showing that, the culprit behind all of our activity lately is this main storm system that you can see rotating here in the Pacific Northwest. It's been pumping up just spurts of moisture into the region. You can see our next batch of moisture here moving through, again, Oregon and Washington, similar to what we saw yesterday. So we're going to see those increasing clouds throughout the afternoon. A slight chance of some isolated showers or thunderstorms, mainly in the mountainous areas, but there is a chance for the Treasure Valley as well. And then looking into Friday, we'll start to see that storm system drop down through the Gem State. You'll see that counterclockwise circulation. So chance of moisture, of course, possible tomorrow and again on Saturday as that storm continues to wrap moisture around the center of that low pressure system. It slowly pulls off and away as we head into early next week. As far as moisture amounts, through at least tomorrow morning, nothing significant you'll notice really for the Treasure Valley, maybe a couple hundredths of an inch, even in the mountain areas, nothing too bad. But as we head into Friday and Saturday, we have a better chance of seeing at least some more widespread shower activity, everybody getting a little bit of moisture out there. Most areas seeing less than 1/10 of an inch out there. So again, this isn't a real big weather maker. It's not going to be a washout as far as the storm system goes, but that chance of showers is going to be there in the extended forecast, at least through Saturday. Today and tomorrow being the best chance for seeing some thunderstorms out there in the afternoon. Windy weather as well for tomorrow. Again, Mother's Day looking pretty nice, partly cloudy with 70 degrees for the high, warming back up into the low 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Mountain forecast, we're looking at those storms likely today and tomorrow, with some showers lingering into Saturday. Otherwise, all areas are, I think, drying out early next week with temperatures back in those mid-60s. So just double check again today with Roland at 4 and 5:30 to track any of those thunderstorms that form this afternoon.
Okay, well, nice to know that anything that comes by for perhaps that cookout on Sunday should
be okay. Just some clouds. Yeah, it's not too bad.
All right, thank you, Nate. Appreciate it. 5:21 this morning. The commute, we'll head outside. Still no issues out there. Mild, as Nate was mentioning, we're doing just fine for the most part. Just those closures, the lane restrictions restrictions on State Street, not the closures, but hopefully some of those, like from 12th to 16th, should be wrapped up for you here pretty much after today. That's the plan last we saw from our updates we get. But you never know. It's already been pushed back once. Your next update on weather and traffic is always less than 10 minutes away on KBOI 2 News this morning. New this morning, a tax on sugary beverages in Seattle is generating big money. Officials say they have collected $4 million in just 3 months. Supporters hope the tax will discourage people from buying sugary drinks that have been linked to diabetes, heart disease, and even tooth decay. I know I could cut down on the amount of pop I drink.
Yeah, see, my problem's never been pop, but it's been sweets, just the foods. But $4 million in 3 months, that's incredible to see, how much of this stuff that people are drinking.
Right.
All right, we'll have to see if it keeps working. Okay, well, coming up on KBOI 2 News this morning, passwords are essential to just about everything these days, but keeping track of all of them can be a huge pain. Some strategies you can use to help keep them straight. All
right, for this next thing, it's through the computer, but you don't need to add one capital letter. You don't need a certain symbol. That's not an exclamation mark or question mark. You can sign up for Mugshot Mondays through the KBOI 2 Facebook page. Free Dutch Bros for you in your office.
This is KBOI 2 News this morning.
5:24 this morning, having strong, secure passwords can help keep you from getting hacked. But on the flip side, most of us don't even want to try to deal with remembering a complicated set of numbers, characters, letters, whatever you want to call it. Danielle Nottingham shares some ways, though, to make it all easier for you.
For most of us, passwords are a pain.
I do not have a good password. I've had the same 3 passwords for the past 10 years.
And it's a common problem. A report from Splash Data last year found the 2 most popular passwords were password and 123456.
But you're not going to do 123456. No, I'm no, that's too easy. I might do 6, 7, 8, but no.
We went to Google to find out how they handle passwords.
Google has gotten rid of some of the things that are still thought of as best practices elsewhere, like forcing you to rotate your password every few months.
Mark Risher is Google's Director of Product Management and says you should come up with unique and complicated passwords.
The best advice for passwords is actually to use a different one on every site.
Instead of putting capital letters at the beginning and numbers at the end, mix it up to make it harder for hackers to guess.
I have insane passwords that no one would ever crack.
Shane Brady came up with his own unique system after having his identity stolen.
I make acronyms and I throw numbers of hockey players into my passwords.
But it can be hard to keep track of that, so Risher recommends a password manager that can remember them for you. It's also good to set up 2-tier authentication, which usually involves a text or app. A code is sent to your device and you type it in as an extra security step.
That's probably the best way that your viewers can protect themselves, is by adding that second factor.
If you want to go a step further, you can also purchase a security key. When you try to log into a site, your phone or computer detects the device, and with a tap, you can confirm it's you and not a hacker trying to log in. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Okay, good tips, but we need passwords for everything.
We do, and we years ago up at our cabin never had Wi-Fi network, never had anything, but our neighbors had a network, and it'd be the fun game that the kids would play, try to guess the password.
Yeah.
Well, somebody guessed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Got us on.
That's it? Okay.
We found their network password and honestly used it for years. Nope.
Okay.
I know.
Still to come on KBOI 2 News this morning. A warning from geologists. More violent eruptions could be on the way in Hawaii. The science that's backing those fears coming up.
All right, here's a look at your primetime lineup tonight. We kick things off at 7 o'clock for you with The Big Bang Theory, followed by Young Sheldon, Mom, SWAT, and then join us back here for KBOI 2 News at 10.
Question of the day, 7 out of 10 people say they have to do this every time because their significant other never will. What is it? We'll read some of your guesses next.
This is KBOI 2 News this morning.
Good morning. Welcome to KBOI 2 News on this Thursday, May 10th. Nate, we kind of got a little bit of rain, thunderstorms, kind of really depending on
it's kind of hit or miss
yesterday.
Some areas like Caldwell got 1/10 of an inch. Boise didn't get anything. So it just depends on where you are. We're expecting kind of a repeat again today.
Okay.
So cooler temperatures as you head out this morning than what we saw yesterday. We're in the low 50s. Still not too bad out there. Pretty decent start with mostly clear skies this morning as well. So we'll see a repeat as far as increasing clouds this afternoon, and a little bit of moisture moving through the region will give us that slight chance of some spotty showers, if not isolated thunderstorms. So plan on that again with highs only near 70 degrees today. So quite a bit cooler than yesterday. We've got even cooler temperatures in store for tomorrow, as well as more storms on the way. We'll talk about just how long we can expect this unsettled weather pattern to continue in the forecast details in just a bit. Brian?
Okay, thank you, Nate. Yeah, we'll be watching and waiting. I-84 in Cloverdale, giving you a glimpse at, we're moving along nicely this morning, as we like to expect here, at least before 6:30 or so, when things start to slow down a little for us. Looking good out there. Your next update on weather and traffic is always less than 10 minutes away on KBOI 2 News this morning.
Breaking news overnight, 3 Americans detained in North Korea are freed and back on American soil this morning. KBOI 2's Sophia Dumani is live in the studio with a closer look at their homecoming. Sophia.
These 3 men you see here behind me had been held on various charges in North Korea for more than a year. After months of hard labor, they were freed yesterday during Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's visit to North Korea. They landed at Joint Base Andrews just outside of Washington, D.C. early this morning around 2:40 Eastern Time. President Trump and the First Lady were there to greet them. This was the scene on the tarmac. Kim Sang-duk was detained last April, accused of attempting to overthrow the North Korean government. Kim Hak-sun was detained in May of 2017 on suspicion of hostile acts. And Kim Dong-chol was arrested in October of 2015 on spying charges. In a 2016 interview, he asked the U.S. or South Korean government to rescue him. And years later, he describes this moment as a dream come true. All of this comes within the backdrop of what is set to be a historic summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un.
The fact that we were able to get him out so soon was really a tribute to a lot of things, including a certain process that's taking place right now.
That process the president is referring to is the ongoing negotiations between North Korea and the United States about denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula, spearheaded by Pompeo. The former detainees released a statement thanking the president, Pompeo, and the American people for bringing them home. Pompeo finalized their release during his second meeting with Kim Jong-un in 6 weeks, where they also discussed plans for a summit between President Trump and the North Korean leader. These 3 seem to have come back in good health, but we know that wasn't the case when Otto Warmbier was returned nearly a year ago on the brink of death. Details of a meeting between Kim Jong-un and President Trump have not yet been released. Reporting live in the studio, Sophia Dumani, KBOI 2 News.
There are sources reporting that the Trump administration is now planning for the summit to be held in Singapore, but no official announcement has been made. At a White House cabinet meeting, the president warned that everything is subject to change.
Everything can be scuttled. Everything can be scuttled. Doesn't mean a lot of things can happen. A lot of good things can happen. A lot of bad things can happen.
Yesterday, North Korea's state-run media mentioned this upcoming summit for the very first time.
One update to breaking news that we've been following overnight. Boise police has called off its search for a reported shooting suspect. Now this morning, Ada County dispatchers are telling us there was no suspect after all. Now this all comes after officers closed off a part of Royal Boulevard near Boise State University overnight to search for that reported suspect. A Bronco alert was sent out to BSU students shortly after midnight, alerting them to that search. But again, dispatchers tell us this morning there was no suspect. We are expecting additional information sometime this morning.
Authorities in Michigan continue to search for the remains of as many as 6 girls that have been missing for decades. Investigators brought in heavy machinery to dig up a wooded area outside of Detroit after Arthur Ream, a convicted killer, boasted about these murders behind bars. Kimberly King, who was last seen in 1979, is one of the girls officials are hoping to find.
A Glens Ferry High School coach has been suspended after being accused of sexual exploitation of a child. The Elmore County Sheriff's Office says Charles Ramsey was arrested after they found evidence of sexually exploitive materials in the school. He was arraigned yesterday in Elmore County but is currently out on bond.
Geologists monitoring the Kilauea volcano are warning that it could erupt explosively, sending boulders, rocks, and ash into the air around its summit. Yesterday, the volcano showed a sample of what the explosion could bring. Some rockfall has already contributed to smaller explosions, and geologists say the more rocks that fall, the bigger the explosion could be.
It drained below the water table. As the lava lake lowered, you get rocks falling in from the sides, creating kind of a plug. Water is mixing, you have steam, it's being plugged, the pressure builds, and ultimately the pressure builds great enough that it blasts up through that. So this is our concern if the lava lake continues to drop and goes below water table.
Kilauea is one of the world's most active volcanoes. It has destroyed 36 structures since it began releasing lava through vents about 25 miles east of the summit crater. There are now 15 vents spread through nearby neighborhoods.
And breaking into our live desk this morning, at least 27 people are dead in Kenya after a dam burst in that area. We have some video here of that mud. You can see this man being rescued from the mud flow. Reports say Kenya Red Cross and disaster management teams have rescued up to 40 different people, but many are still being feared to be trapped as we speak. Now, officials say this all happened when the dam water and mud spilt out of the reservoir nearby and submerged homes. The flow has covered up homes for up to a mile.
Well, new this morning, the E. coli outbreak tied to romaine lettuce continues to spread. 4 more states are now reporting illnesses linked to it. Florida, Minnesota, North Dakota, and Texas have all joined the list that's now up to 29 states. 28 more people have also reported getting sick. The CDC says that brings the total to 149 people who have gotten sick since April 20th. Half of them have been hospitalized and 1 person has died. Health officials say the tainted lettuce was grown in Yuma, Arizona.
Happening tonight, you'll be able to hear from those wanting to be Ada County Commissioners. A debate will be held at River Glen Junior High. That will begin at 7 o'clock. Now, last night, District 11 candidates for the State House and Senate spoke at a forum in Caldwell. The forum was put together by the Idaho Press Tribune. The newspaper's editor, Scott McIntosh, moderated. Some of the hot button issues included growth, education funding, and how to close the healthcare gap. You can watch the forum in its entirety on our website, idahonews.com.
Well, Habitat for Humanity Boise is auctioning off playhouses at the Village at Meridian. The playhouses have been temporarily installed near Fountain Square, and they will stay there until this Saturday when the auction ends. All of the proceeds will help Boise Valley Habitat build homes for Habitat families in our community.
Okay, well, something to check out this weekend, maybe for Mother's Day.
Yeah, definitely looks.
Those look pretty neat. I mean, they really
Yeah.
customized,
They put
not
a
just
lot
the
of
sheds.
work into
I mean, I had other plans. I think if I put in a shed, but hey, one looks like a little trailer or something for your kids to go play in. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, some of them look nice. I'm like, what's the square footage here?
Downsize a little bit, right? Yeah, there you go.
Taking tiny homes to a new extreme.
Yeah. There you go. Even tinier.
Definitely a funny side out there at the Village, but obviously probably going to be a lot of people out and about there today, and then as we continue into the weekend, cooling down, but still going to be decent out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been, well, I don't think we've been spoiled with the temperatures we've had, thinking it's been more like June. We're back to reality today, unfortunately, with highs back where, you know, they typically would be this time of year. So, in fact, this morning we're noticing that temperature change from 24 hours ago. We're anywhere from 10 to 12 degrees cooler in most locations from yesterday morning at this time. So, yeah, we're closer to that 50-degree mark for much of the Treasure Valley this morning as you kick off your Thursday. 52 in Nampa this morning. Good morning to you. Cuna, 50 degrees as well. Parma coming in at 54. We're in the 30s for the mountain valleys. Baker City, 43 degrees this morning. So we are expecting, again, temperatures to be cooler, a little bit lower than yesterday with the moisture that came through the cold front. This afternoon, more increasing clouds, a slight chance of some isolated showers as well, with temperatures near 70 degrees, again, which is average for this particular time of year. Again, there's a chance for some of those spotty showers into the afternoon hours before things start to taper off as the sun goes down. And then we are looking at another batch of moisture moving in for Friday. So your hour-by-hour forecast today, yeah, temperatures not too bad. We'll be in the low 60s by the noon hour. Notice we do have that chance of increased cloud cover this afternoon. And there's also a slight chance we could see a thunderstorm or two out there. Daytime high, as I mentioned, should be near 70 degrees. So we'll be in the upper 60s. Feeling pretty nice out there, but it will be breezy as well. More on the forecast for the weekend. We'll take a peek at that in just a bit. Brian?
All right, thank you, Nate. 5:40 this morning. Let's see if there's anything slowing us down on our way into work or school this Friday Eve. We'll send it over to Ron O'Brien in the 670 KBOI Traffic Center. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning. Well, it's a calm start in general. I-84 speeds good, Canyon County to Boise. No issues. Things good towards Mountain Home. Routes away from the freeway is good. Now, some ramp closures scheduled to go in place this morning. Possibly not yet, but later on at least. The westbound off-ramp at exit 26. So the 26 exit from westbound 84 scheduled to close, and the on-ramp to westbound 84 from the 27 interchange. Those ramps scheduled to close later on this morning at least. From the 670 KBOI studios, I'm Ronald Bryan.
Thank you, Ron. Your next update on weather and traffic is always less than 10 minutes away on KBOI 2 News this morning.
All right, question of the day today. The question is 7 out of 10 people say they have to do this every time because their significant other will never do it.
I want to think of something that I am on the side of I probably should do more of.
Okay.
Make the bed.
Oh,
You're just going to be
exactly
you're just
what
going to
I
be
was
in it.
thinking.
You're just going to be in it, you know, not that long from now.
Right, I know. I'm like, oh, and even, you know, where I'm at, it's like, yeah, I am the only one sleeping in this bed, and I enjoy it that way, so I'm going to leave it out.
Yep, Diane, I'm with you though. Take out the garbage.
Yes.
That was just so stinky. Yeah, and it takes just a second too. Anita, the dishes. I hate dishes. I do them all the time though.
Okay, glad to hear you at least still help out with them. We don't want to leave that all on Holly. Elliot says turn the lights off. Just like the little simple things. So good guesses so far. Yeah, sometimes I just wish that I had those clapper lights still.
Those are
were
great.
still cool.
I like them a lot.
To help turn the lights off. I'll keep your guesses coming. We will share them throughout the morning and then give you the answer just before 7 o'clock.
For every probably 5 rolls I process, oftentimes only one of them will have pictures.
Coming up on KBOI 2 News this morning, saving pieces of history. One man's quest to save old and abandoned film from being lost forever.
All right, right now it is 5:41, almost 5:42 this morning. A quiet start to the day in downtown Boise. Again, we're going to be a little bit cooler today. Nate will have the details on what's changing out there as we continue toward the weekend coming up here in just a few minutes.
Pay It Forward is sponsored by Mountain America Credit Union.
5:44 this morning. Today's Pay It Forward goes to a man who's rescuing canisters of film that have been lost or forgotten over the years. He's become an expert at developing just about every kind of film imaginable. And as KBOI 2's Brent Hunsaker shares, he's saving pieces of history along the way.
Hello, are you Levi?
I'm Levi.
Levi, I'm Tim. I'm with Mountain America Credit Union.
And Tim Toy has a surprise for Levi Bedweiser. He's paying it forward to help Levi continue rescuing old, abandoned film before it's lost forever.
So in this envelope, we have $500 cash.
Wow.
We want to donate it to your cause, and we hope that it'll continue to make a difference.
Wow, thank you so much. You don't even know how far that goes. That really goes a long way with our
That's
project.
awesome.
Funding is one of the biggest things we struggle with right now, so this is huge.
In this refrigerator are just some of the orphaned rolls of film that Levi has acquired.
One of the biggest contributors to film degrading is heat. The second is moisture.
There are a couple thousand rolls in here.
It's just like food. You freeze it to preserve it.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't completely stop the degradation process, but it definitely slows it down. So this is our main base of operations for rescued film.
He finds them in old cameras.
This is a roll of film that was in an old World War II camera that was in a bomber.
Others in boxes left for decades in basements or attics.
They're really cool to see. A lot of them have old wooden spools.
Some are donated, others he buys.
So like this one's from North Carolina. We got Portland, Oregon. They usually come from the States, but we do get donations of film from China, Australia, Greece, Canada.
And Levi never knows exactly what he'll find when he develops them. Some do come with descriptions, at least where they were found. But most, nothing.
For every probably 5 rolls I process, oftentimes only one of them will have pictures.
And the pictures he does find are glimpses of a lost past.
Here's one of the images we rescued that was part of a roll of film that had a bunch of images of Dwight D. Eisenhower on it. We were able to contact the Eisenhower Library later, and they're pretty sure these images were from a trip he took to Copenhagen.
And then there's this picture, damaged by time, of a father and daughter fishing.
This is mold, and these mold veins kind of crawl, and this is very common, crawl across the image and kind of attach itself to the emulsion, which stays on after you process.
In many ways, the images that Levi has developed are ghost-like, rescued ghosts, each with a story to tell.
A lot of people ask me all the time, like, are you going out to search for these incredible photos of like the Kennedy assassination, or try and find these historical moments? And that's really never been the goal. Look at these photos, even the more modern photos, look at them as if you're looking at them 50 years from now. It's history. It looks like history, and it will look like history because it is.
To Levi, these pictures, all of them, are important. All deserve to be rescued, with the hope that someday they can be reunited with people who will cherish them.
And that really is one of the driving forces for the project. I do feel a deep found weight of responsibility to try and rescue these images.
That is fascinating.
Wow.
I know. Probably lost art now. It's just our phones and we just click away and you store them and you probably forget
kind of
about
exciting
them.
too. You never know, what you're going to stumble across, right? Depending on the type of film you develop.
Eisenhower, but then I even just love that picture of the two fishing and how they were showing the mold and what that does to a photo, but it kind of made it almost, I don't know, more historic. Like it was cooler.
Yeah. Why don't now with our phones, if you want to get a bunch of people together and someone doesn't want to do it, you're like, whatever. You take a few. I remember like anytime we'd go anywhere, I loved those disposable cameras. The little when you crank them a little, and you'd be so excited to find out what you'd get. You'd send them to get developed, and
And now we take so many photos, we don't even take the time to go through them all and scrub them, right? Because they're so easy to take.
I feel like when there was disposable cameras, I always just was disappointed to see that my eyes were shut in the pictures. So at least there's one benefit is you can check that now.
Right.
All right, well, checking on the forecast, things looking okay for us today again.
Things looking A-okay this morning at least. Yeah, some changes coming again this afternoon. But great start. A lot of folks again thinking about plans, of course, for the weekend. We've got the Mother's Day weekend on tap this weekend. And we do have some weather to talk about before we get there. But for right now, the forecast, looking at Mother's Day weekend, should be 70 degrees on Sunday, partly cloudy skies as well. So diving in this morning, again, we talked about the quiet start to the day. We've got just a few high, thin clouds moving into the area. No moisture this morning to speak of, but there is a chance. This is your chances of precipitation today, mainly this afternoon. About a 20% chance is all of seeing an isolated shower or thunderstorm out there. Temperature readings about 10 degrees cooler than yesterday, if not more so, as we're going to be near average today. Highs near 70 degrees in the Boise area, low 70s for Nampa, Caldwell, Ontario, and 60 degrees expected for Baker City. What we can expect, well, more afternoon thunderstorms possible, very isolated as we mentioned. Breezy winds as well. In fact, even windier conditions for Friday. Cooler temperatures tomorrow as well, and then storms are going to be sticking around likely through Saturday. Temperature readings, not too bad today, about 5 to 6 degrees below our normal high of 70 for tomorrow. 67 on Saturday, gradually warming up to 70 as we mentioned for Mother's Day, and then 76 on Monday next week. The main culprit behind our active weather this week so far is this area of low pressure that's rotating, starting to move now south and east towards our area, pumping up this batch of moisture. This is what we're going to be tracking this afternoon, giving us that slight chance of some shower activity out there. Again, this afternoon, spotty showers possible as a weak front moves through. That counterclockwise rotation you see here is that storm system moving south and east, nearly on top of the Gem State. It's going to continue to circulate just to the south of us, bringing up some moisture from the northeast, or excuse me, the southeast as we continue into the weekend, and that's going to give the chance of some cloud cover, if not some showers lingering through Saturday. So, adventure cast for today, plan on temperature readings to be the low 60s by the noon hour and low 70s this afternoon. There's that slight chance of a thunderstorm this afternoon as well. Windy tomorrow with anywhere from 15 to 30 mile per hour winds expected. A few showers out there into Saturday. Mother's Day looking pretty good. Mainly sunshine and warmer temperatures early next week. Mountains, of course, some thunderstorms possible. Better chance tomorrow into Saturday. Nice and sunny, I think, with a few clouds around for your Mother's Day forecast, and then warmer next week. Roland will be tracking, of course, any thunderstorms that form this afternoon, so check with him at 4 and 5:30 for any updates.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nate. 5:51 this morning. Let's take one last look at your commute before 6 o'clock with Ron O'Brien in the 670 KBOI Traffic Center.
Thanks, Brian. Good morning, everyone. Getting out the door, no early issues. 84, looking good. Speeds are just fine. Don't have any surprises between Caldwell and Mountain Home at this point. On 84, 184 as well. Some road closure reminders, a couple of rundowns. 10-mile work is still going. Lake Hazel to Amity until the 4th of June. Geckler Lane in southeast Boise, one of the newer closures. No through traffic there between Linden and Burgesson. Also, the closure of Emerald over the connector. No getting through on Emerald. Basically closed to through traffic between Cole and Curtis. From the 670 KBOI studios, I'm Ron O'Brien.
Thank you, Ron. Your next update on weather and traffic is always less than 10 minutes away on KBOI 2 News this morning. New this morning, 2 men are killed in a construction accident in Florida. The two were construction workers that were building an elevator shaft when the scaffolding collapsed.
So the workers were simply constructing the temporary elevator shaft when, unfortunately, it broke and they fell.
The fall was about 10 or 11 stories, roughly half the height of the condo building being worked on. The complex has not released a statement. Local police detectives are investigating the accident.
Well, this morning we're learning more about a science experiment gone wrong at a high school near Nashville. An unintended chemical reaction injured 17 students and a teacher there. The school was evacuated as a result. The fire department says the accident was caused by a temporary flash fire, which lasted anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. Doctors say they treated students for chemical burns, but everyone is expected to be okay. The school is back open for classes again today.
Okay, well, coming up on KBOI 2 News this morning, you may be familiar with chocolate-covered strawberries, perhaps getting some for Sunday, or even chocolate-covered pretzels. How about a chocolate-covered highway? The story behind a sweet delay for drivers.
And MakeIdahoNews.com, your home for breaking news and weather. It's the only place you need to go for coverage of all of today's top stories.
This is KBOI 2 News this morning.
5:55 new this morning, motorists in Poland encountered some driving delays after a truck carrying 12 tons of chocolate crashed and spilled along a highway. This is a look at the road with pools of chocolate just flowing out. The truck overturned and spilled out some sweet fillings across 6 lanes, blocking traffic in both directions. The driver was taken to the hospital with a broken arm. No one else was hurt. Cleanup crews say as the chocolate hardened, it was very difficult to take care of.
Even oil stains are easier and quicker to remove than smeared chocolate. It's a time-consuming task. Layers of chocolate can only be removed from the tarmac with warm pressure water.
Firefighters used streams of hot water. Emergency crews also tried using a bulldozer to help in the cleaning efforts. The task took several hours before traffic could be opened back up.
Oh my gosh, I just heard your stomach rumbling over there.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
we're all thinking it. That is like the best. I hate traffic. That's the best delay you could
Right.
ask for. I would be
Just grab a spoon.
helping.
Yeah.
I'd be helping.
I know they say the
them
5-second
clean up.
rule, but
Yeah.
like I feel like a little
The
longer.
top layers are
Exactly.
probably
There's
okay.
plenty of it
Yeah.
that's not being touched.
I'll
to
go
the
right
road.
to the source when it's coming out of the truck. Yeah.
I do know though, it is really hard to clean up chocolate when it hardens. I always try to make chocolate-covered pretzels, and you melt the chocolate, and then it starts hardening, and you're like, no.
Feeding kids chocolate's a nightmare. I always have to keep the kids strapped down in their chairs in the kitchen where you can kind of keep it.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
too good.
Well, still to come on KBOI 2 News this morning, American detainees held in North Korea have arrived home. Find out whether their release is affecting the president's future meeting with Kim Jong-un.
All right, 5:57. Here's a live look outside. Gorgeous start to the day in downtown Boise. The sun is making hints that it's coming up soon.